Ponson for the Orioles. You and I last saw Sidney in Yankee Stadium, and certainly not one of Sidney's finer moments. Only an inning in the third, and he left, not able to hold a 7-0 lead. What does he have to do to get better tonight against Atlanta?
Well, I think maybe they don't have to get him so many runs early. They had him a 7-run lead by really at the bottom of the second inning, and he just lost command. And I think not only lost command physically, but lost command emotionally. You know, we've talked all year that he's got such outstanding stuff, and he walks 4 straight batters. And finally, Sammy Ellis comes out. Sammy, talking to him today, said, yeah, I don't think he remembered anything I said to him because he really lost control. And right here, they don't turn a double play. Another run scored, makes it 7-3. Sammy Ellis goes out and says, hey, give him a couple of runs. But right here, this gets Sidney out of the ball game as Knobloch dumps the ball into right center field. They bring in Jason Johnson. Jeter hits the next pitch for a 3-run home run. And all of a sudden, that 7-0 lead is 7-7. Jason Johnson throws back-to-back home runs, change up to Paul O'Neill. He shoots it out in right field, and the Orioles actually lose, 13-9. The Yankees score 13 unanswered runs. And it's a very disappointing, not only for the ball club, but especially for Sidney, because it's almost like you got to win in your back pocket.
Sidney has had wonderful success against the National League, 5-3 in interleague play, Ponson, and the Orioles are certainly hoping that he can back that up. Another solid effort against Atlanta after he beat the Braves last year. Now, the Orioles might feel like Andy Ashby is one of their own. It's beginning to get that type of sense. Third time in a month, Jim, that Ashby is going to pitch against the Orioles. Pitched well against the Birds a week ago as a member of Philadelphia.
Well, he did, but he also, I mean, this is earlier in the year here at Camden Yards, but he gave up 7 runs here up in Philadelphia. Not a victim, but I'll tell you what, the Orioles were a victim of him getting 13 new runs, and he'll be the first to tell you, first of all, there's a couple of things. I need run support because I'm not having an outstanding year. Number 2, I have to stay out of fastball counts. A lot of people talking this year, fastball not as good as it's been the last couple of years. So if he gets behind, the Orioles may have a field day like they did when they faced him here at Camden Yards in that afternoon game.
Ponson and Ashby as the Orioles try to even up this series. Again, we're going to be delayed by about a half hour, but we'll see how this Game 2 unfolds tonight here at the Yard. HTS coverage of Orioles baseball is being brought to you by Advance Auto Parts. The best part is our people. Also by Geico Direct, the sensible alternative. By Pepsi, the joy of cola. By Bell Atlantic, your guide through the wilds of communication. By Toyota and the all-new Camry Solara. By Aflac, without it, no insurance is complete. Also by Heineken, it's all about the beer, Heineken. And by Southwest Airlines, make sure you log on for low fares at www.southwest.com, a symbol of e-freedom. Javi Lopez back to the fold with the Atlanta Braves after a tough 1999, and he and the Braves getting set to go against the Orioles in Game 2 coming up. Again, about an 8 o'clock start time here at the Yard. And in the meantime, as we are in this rain delay mode to begin this one, we'll ask you to enjoy Halls of Fame coming up. Orlando Cepeda the subject, and then we'll see you again as we get set for baseball about 8 p.m. 2000 underway here for Game 2 of this interleague series, the O's and the Atlanta Braves. With that, we'll tell you that tonight's Maryland Lottery Baseball Scratch-Off Triple Play winner is Constance Williams of Baltimore, Maryland. Constance, you have won $50 worth of scratch-off tickets, and now you're automatically entered in the grand prize drawing on the 1st of August for $100,000 to enter the Maryland Lottery Scratch-Off Triple Play game. Here's what you do. Send $5 worth of any non-winning tickets to the address you see on your screen, and then tune in with us on the television side every Orioles game to see if you're a winner. And remember, you have to dare to win. We say we set the umpiring quartet tonight as we go around the Sac Creek Concrete Mix Yellow Diamond, and we'll introduce the umpires. Rich Reeker will be the man behind the mask this evening. He'll call the balls and strikes. Paul Emmel, Jerry Davis, and Chris Guccione go from first to third around the bases. So Sidney Ponson on the mound for the Orioles tonight, and Sidney trying to shake off the effects of the shortest outing of his major league career, as he lasted only an inning and a third, as the Orioles let a 7-0 lead slide by them in their 13-9 loss to the New York Yankees. We'll see what Ponson has for the top club in the National League East, the Atlanta Braves. We're going to play Orioles baseball. That's coming up next right here on HTS.
Hi, I'm John.
As we get back to the Yard, Jim Palmer, what do you say we roll through our Dodge keys to the game? Assess Game 2 for us.
You can see the obviously the Braves very comfortable here at Camden Yards. Of course, a little bit different down at Turner Field, where the Orioles have won 6 in a row. So they're on a run here, and if you're Alan Ashby or Andy Ashby, Alan, he used to be a catcher with Toronto, but if you're Andy Ashby, you pitched the 3rd time against the Orioles, but you got a fresh start. You went from what, about 4th or 5th place in the American League or National League East to being in with the league leader. If you're the Orioles, they're going to stack the lineup, lefties, and it's all a matter of whether Ashby can get ahead in the count. And for Sidney Ponson, you've had good success. You've pitched, as you mentioned in the opening, 5-3 against the National League ball clubs, 4 complete games. So Sidney, they don't see him that much. I'll tell you what, if he's on his stuff, he's always tough to beat because he's got an outstanding arm. He just has hope that he has a little bit better composure than he had in New York. And I guess the interesting thing, Mike, when you look at that ball game, is that the Orioles have won 3 out of the last 4 series. If they win that afternoon, they win 4 series in a row, and maybe a little bit different attitude going into the second half.
As we take a look at former Major League manager, longtime staple on Bobby Cox's staff in Atlanta, that's Pat Corrales, manager Philadelphia Phillies, manager Cleveland Indians, strong baseball man. He's the acting manager tonight because Bobby Cox starts his suspension as imposed by the National League. And of course, that was for the bumping incident he had with Darryl Cousins right before the All-Star break. So Cox suspended. And Pat Corrales, the acting manager. Again, Kilvio Veras for the Braves leading it off. Andrew Jones in center field. Chipper Jones at third base. Brian Jordan's a right fielder. Andres Galarraga at first base. Wally Joyner doing the DHing. Javi Lopez behind the plate. Reggie Sanders hits 8th in left field. And Rafael Furcal, the young shortstop, will hit number 9. This lineup to face Sidney Ponson. So still a little bit cloudy, but the rain showers are gone from downtown Baltimore. We'll call it a magnificent night for Orioles baseball as Veras takes Ponson's first pitch in the strike zone to get us started.
Well, Kilvio, a switch hitter, great on base percentage, over 400, and when he gets on, he can steal a base. Merv Retman, who came over from the Padres, saw Veras when he was with the Padres. He said, he can steal a lot of bases. And, he doesn't have burner speed, but he's a very aggressive base runner. So the key, obviously, for Sidney is try to get ahead. He's comes in hitting 310, and he's even hit well with runners on scoring position. So I think the one thing the Braves have this year they didn't have last year is a leadoff guy. Last year they tried to resurrect the career of Otis Nixon. He stole over 20 bases, but batting average down there closer to 200 than it was to 3. But this guy, pretty good second baseman, and he gives them a dimension they didn't have.
Came over in that big deal with the San Diego Padres, and talk about the dimension of speed tonight with Reggie Sanders, Veras, and Furcal in the lineup. Entirely different story than that lineup that Bobby Cox put on the field against the Orioles last night. So this ball club now will run and manufacture with these 3 in the offense.
Well, you even saw it when Furcal and Reggie Sanders came in late in the ball game last night.
A slashed foul on the 3-2 pitch from Ponson.
Sanders singled and stole a base. Furcal actually got on, stole a base, actually on the throwing error by Charles Johnson, went to third, and they added a couple of number more runs to make it 6-3 and make it easier for the bullpen. Especially when you bring in Rocker to start the 9th and he throws 4 straight pitches, almost hit Will Clark with one of them. So you would have had the tying run, winning run coming to plate if they don't add those 2 runs in the top of the 9th.
Ponson's 3-2 misses up and away. Kilvio Veras aboard with a leadoff walk. So not how Sidney wanted to begin by putting on the speedster Veras. Let's take a look at Mike Hargrove's Orioles defensive alignment. Will Clark, Delano DeShields, the veterans on the right side of the infield. Ditto that for Mike Bordick and Jeff Conine at third base. B.J. Surhoff, Brady Anderson, Albert Bell. Bell with the 7 assists in right field. And Greg Myers will do the catching for Sidney Ponson.
And you talk about, a table setter right here. You got a terrific fastball hitter and Andrew Jones at the plate. Even though last night the wheels came off the cart for Mike Messina when he in the 4th inning got quickly ahead of Jones and hung a breaking ball, and he doubled down in the corner. But this guy can hit the fastball, and with Veras at first, we're going to probably see more fastballs.
Towering fly ball into the corner and left. Surhoff going to have room. He's got it. Veras is going to come about halfway down between first and second base. and then he'll scamper back to the bag.
Well, very good base running. And the reason is, if you have a sense of how the ball is hit, where they're playing, you know that ball's going to be caught. Now, if it's not going to be caught, so he's going to go tag up. And right here, the play's in front of him. He can come as far as he wants. If the throw is off either right or left, he can continue. So what he did was force B.J. Surhoff, who has a very accurate arm, to make a good throw, and B.J. was able to do that.
Well, Veras with some pleasantries for Will Clark. Now he's aboard with one down now, and here is Chipper Jones. Switch hitting third baseman. Chipper Jones has not hit Orioles pitching particularly well. Jones now just 9 for 40 against the Orioles in interleague play.
Well, last night Mike Messina, Sammy Ellis, pitching coach, saying probably the maybe least effective he was with his breaking stuff. But with Chipper, he was able to get him out on those knuckle curveballs on that line. Step on.
And Ponson did, and now he's going to run at Veras and give it up to Will Clark, who'll push him toward Mike Bordick, who puts the tag on Silvio Veras.
I tell you, Mike, one of the ways you stop a runner from running is to hold the ball. And that's what Sidney Ponson did. And you wonder if Veras got hurt right there. And just think of how many times he had to change direction in that rundown. See, he holds the ball. Now he goes. Now he got some communication, and you'd work on this in spring training. You step off, you run right at the runner, give the ball to the first baseman, get it out of your hands. And right here, Bordick with a fake, and then the tag, and they get the runner. You don't want to have more than 2 throws, so they execute that run down the way you should. I mean, Sidney Ponson, he got the communication. I mean, exactly the way you're taught down in Fort Lauderdale in spring training.
Takes the speed of Silvio Veras off the bases, and look at Ponson come in strong on the hands of Chipper Jones with that lively fastball. Well, no one more frustrated than Sidney Ponson about that performance on the mound in Yankee Stadium last week. Same spot, same result as Ponson busts Chipper Jones again.
Well, if you watch the All-Star game, you saw Chipper take a ball outside third of plate and just pulverize it to left center. This ball inner half. You got to be a lot quicker. Of course, you throw 2 fastballs by a guy and you come back with a breaking ball. I mean, you learn a lot from Mike Messina, but you also have to learn how a guy reacts to your stuff. So maybe Sidney lucky that he didn't throw that breaking ball for a strike.
And the payoff pitch, and Ponson will blow Chipper Jones away. 3 fastballs right by the switch hitter. Scoreless. Orioles coming to hit at the yard. Pressure for you. Let's take a look at Mike Hargrove's next still Orioles starting lineup. Brady Anderson's leading off in center field. Mike Bordick's at shortstop. Delano DeShields hitting third at second base. Albert Bell in right field. B.J. Surhoff in left field. Will Clark's at first base. Jeff Conine hits 7th and plays third base. DHing tonight's Harold Baines, and Greg Myers is doing the catching. And the man on the mound, very familiar to Brady Anderson and the rest of the O's, Andy Ashby. They saw him in different togs, Philadelphia Phillies uniform. Last Saturday, he got 13 runs of support and beat the Orioles 13-4. His last 2 starts, he beat Milwaukee and then the O's. And then the deal made. And Jim, I talked to Andy Ashby yesterday and asked him about the Philadelphia experience, his second go-round. I asked him, hey, here's a guy who's a sinker ball pitcher. So you got to be down in the zone to be effective. And he said, yeah, maybe the change of scenery will help me a little bit, and getting off the carpet at Veterans Stadium should help as well.
Well, he's also going to a better ball club. I mean, not to denigrate Philadelphia, but this ball club is all about winning. And it's a large market ball club. They've won 8 straight division titles. He's got to be nervous, though. Wants to make a good first impression. I talked to him yesterday. Leo Mazzoni, who's done a wonderful job with a very talented staff, said, listen, I'm just going to sit back and watch. Now, he may come out if he has to and make a couple of suggestions, but, he wants to see what Andy Ashby's all about. I mean, he's seen him, but it's a lot different when you work with a guy. You learn about the personality. You learn about what his work habits are, whether he has certain phobias, what he feels comfortable with. And of course, Leo's going to sit back, be all eyes tonight.
There goes the bat of Brady Anderson, landing off the railing and bouncing around the seats down near the tarp as he swung through the 3-1 pitch.
Well, the Olympics are going to be down in Australia. It's kind of like the hammer throw, except a bat throw. Good extension. Right out of the hands. And hopefully, yep, nobody gets hurt.
And the railing caught most of the blow of Brady Anderson's bat.
It's kind of like Jaws, 25th anniversary, just when you thought it was safe to go back in the water.
Good analogy.
I don't know about that, but so now they're going to pull, but you're going to get another bat.
All the fans have come to the ballpark. They know better than that. That there'll be a bat sent into the stands.
Be a bat exchange, so to speak.
Harold Baines looking Brady's bat over, and here's Ashby's 3-2 pitch, and a miss away. So Brady Anderson, like Kilvio Veras did to start it for Atlanta, aboard with the leadoff walk. So let's check out Pat Corrales' defense tonight. That's right, Pat Corrales, the acting manager, with Bobby Cox suspended. Andres Galarraga at first base. Kilvio Veras plays second base. Rafael Furcal, the shortstop. Chipper Jones is at third. Reggie Sanders, Andrew Jones, Brian Jordan, the outfield. Andrew Jones, of course, the anchor. So exceptional with his work in center field, and plays the shallowest center field, as we documented for you last night, in the major leagues.
And it backfired a little bit. Baines hit a ball over his head. It's such a small ballpark here. You don't have to cheat that much. But he's in there. Of course, Bobby Cox, who's suspended for 5 games, saying that he's awfully good. He was better than Paul Blair.
That's very high praise.
It really is. But what they both have in common, they could play shallow and they can go back with the best of them, and most outfielders can't do that.
There's a called strike on Mike Bordick.
I mean, Earl Weaver had a very simple theory. You play deep because it's easier to come in than go back, and there are a few exceptions that can go back and get the ball, and Andrew Jones is certainly one of them, and that's why he's won those 2 Gold Gloves. And the kind of range he has in the arm and all that stuff, the jump that he gets on a ball, I mean, might as well just give him the Gold Glove for the next, what, 10, 15 years, as long as he's able to play.
Bordick with a drive, that deep left, but it's going to hook foul. Oh, that had home run distance. But Mike yanked it into foul territory. And of course, congratulations go out to Mike Bordick on a wonderful first half of the season, and his first All-Star appearance this past Tuesday night from his good friends at Ferris, Baker, and Watts.
I tell you, the Braves have seen him play one time this year, and Bobby Cox said, boy, is this guy a player? And he's gotten so much better. And we talk about it all the time, but the numbers don't belie that. He's still gushing about being able to go down to the All-Star game and to mingle. He said, I'll tell you, I went to the home run hitting. He said, a terrific time, and he deserved to be there.
Mike Bordick and Mike Messina stopped by down on the field where we were setting up for Orioles report tonight. Check on Tom Davis as Ashby will fan Bordick. He brought out that tantalizing slider that Bordick chased down and away. Now Ashby with a walk, and now the strikeout of Bordick.
Well, when he gets ahead in the count and at 0-2, he can either throw his breaking ball or he's got a splitter, and this is going to be a big veering breaking ball. And I'll tell you, a good slider is one that appears to be a fastball, and Mike's going to react, and then the ball just going down and away. But right now, he's just dropping his arm. He cannot keep his arm up high enough to throw that fastball for a strike.
Here's Delino DeShields now to face Ashby. Delino had a couple of base hits, stole a base last night for DeShields on the stolen base side, leading the Orioles with 22 thefts. And swinging for a much better average against the left-handed pitching around Major League Baseball than the right-handers. Ashby suspicious maybe of Brady Anderson pitching out.
Well, the one thing the Braves don't do well is hold runners. I mean, their catchers, I think it has to reflect maybe on the pitching staff. We saw that with Maddox last night. The Orioles stole one time. DeShields stealing his 22nd. Is that they're only throwing out about 20% of the runners to try to steal.
Ground ball to the hole. Backhanding is for call. He's going to have to stick that in his pocket. Nowhere to go with it. When it cleared Chipper Jones, no play for the young shortstop. Infield base hit, Delino DeShields.
And see what happens. He's playing in so close that he's got to take the angle off. So by the time Furcal gets to it, I mean, he's thinking about maybe making a throw. But that's what speed does. You have to respect the bunt. You have to play in, and boy, does that make it more difficult to pitch.
Now here's Albert Bell now in an RBI situation in the opening inning. Albert's only 8 for his last 43. Swing under 200 in his last 10. Well, average has come down under 300 because of it.
Well, and there's your home run pitch right there. I mean, that's one of your belt-high sliders, and Albert just missed it. And that's the difference between being hot and not. Watch this ball. I mean, it's going to just hover right about there, right in the hitting zone. And he fouls it straight back. Home run swing, but just a little bit under it. It's interesting last night when he got the RBI and the one hit is that 0-2 pitch. Runners started. Maddox did not make a very good pitch, stayed with it, and went the other way, which is what you try to do when you're in one of these mini slumps.
Base hit left field. Anderson's turn third. Sanders throw to the plate, not going to be in time. Lopez will gun to Furcal, and they have cut down Delano to Shields. Bell will beat the throw from Furcal to Veras at second base. A lot of action on that base hit by Albert Bell, so the Orioles will get on the board. Anderson to the plate. DeShields got cut down on the throw from Javi Lopez to Rafael Furcal, who was covering the bag at third.
Well, you're right about a lot of things happened. The Jim Coleman Toyota RBI of the game. I mean, a rocket right here. Sanders does not throw well. Good speed, but not a very good arm. And I think what happens is the Shields think there may be a plate, but he throws a balloon to home plate. And right here, very heads-up play by Javi Lopez. Big inning on the line. He takes the second out at third base. Cut it off way up the line and threw him out. So good base running by Albert Bell. He gets into scoring position. Bad base running by DeShields as he gets the Braves the second out, but the Orioles on the board 1-0.
So RBI number 70 on the year for Albert Bell. There's B.J. Surhoff now facing Andy Ashby as the Orioles have taken the early lead, and Ashby's on the outside corner to even the count at 1-1. B.J. just keeps rolling on, as you see. More than a month now, he's been well above the 300 mark at the plate. Lift that average up to 283. That's lined by Furcal. Base hit left field. Bell's going to get waved in. Sanders has got another shot to the plate, and Lopez will put the tag on Bell to gun him down on the throw from Reggie Sanders. Reggie Sanders very busy in this opening inning. Couldn't throw out Anderson. Successful in gunning down Albert Bell at the plate. O's get one and take the two chances to throw out runners at the plate.
Well, he charges the ball. He's about maybe 70 feet behind the infield. Albert did, even with two outs, doesn't get a great jump. So Javi Lopez also very active. Ashby gives up 3 hits, a walk, and only gives up 1 run. And the Orioles kind of run themselves into 2 outs. Chance for a big inning, they don't get it.
Let's watch Albert Bell now as he gets his lead. Surhoff with contact with that shot to left, and now Bell's thinking about getting to the plate ahead of this throw.
And he's a dead Oriole, so to speak.
Our Orioles with Bell thrown out at the plate and DeShields thrown out at third base here in the early going. They get one as the Milford High School star from days gone by here in Baltimore, Brian Jordan, leaded off against Sidney Poinson. Jordan, of course, part of the proceedings last night, Jim, is that fly ball of his off the auxiliary board in right that got over the head of Albert Bell. That was a part of the 3-run Atlanta 4th inning against Mike Messina.
Yeah, the ball hit about 7 feet up on the wall, and all the Atlanta guys said when the ball went up, they thought it was just a routine fly ball. They know, even though they've won 3 in a row here, that of course they have terrific pitching, that this is a very intimate ballpark, but not really a little bit smaller than most of the parks they play in, so they just figured it was just a can of corn to right field. And as it turned back, Albert didn't play it particularly well.
That's drilled up the middle to the right of DeShields, who will backhand and throw out Brian Jordan. Delano DeShields going to his right and then throwing out Jordan.
Oh, kind of similar to the fastball he hits to right field last night. Just a fastball, maybe inside middle. Delino, the key, of course, is once you catch it, getting your balance. He's able to do that, even though he was out on the grass. Short right center field, and the ball hit hard, but right at one of your infielders.
Here's Andres Galarraga, who looks at the Ponson fastball for a called strike. What a wonderful story this man is, as we showed you last night. Of course, beat lymphoma, and now back and producing marvelously for the Atlanta Braves, as Clark will give it a look as it gets out of play.
Well, the amazing thing to think about him, and of course his demeanor, he's a great guy. And I told a story last night where they thought so much about him last spring when they knew he was going to be out all year. 2 busloads when they were up in Jupiter playing the Cardinals. Went down to his house, stopped by. He didn't know they were coming by. I mean, it showed how much he meant to him, and after his first year. But he's 39 years old. It's not like you take a year off when you're 38 and then come back. But we mentioned it last night, very agile around first base. So even when he's not hitting, and of course, when you look at his numbers, he's had a good year with 20 home runs, 18 against right-handed pitching. I mean, he can help you with his glove. They call him the cat, the big cat.
Well, he's always been able to supply some big power numbers throughout his major league career. So the Braves very happy to have him back, not just for what he does between the lines, but clubhouse influence. You can't even begin to put a figure on what that might mean, as Ponson is showing the lively fastball tonight. He just gunned some more heat right by Galarraga as he fanned Chipper Jones to end the first.
What a bright future Sidney Ponson is going to have, because he has the God-given talent to throw the fastball. I mean, this is just a great fastball, low and away, mid-90s. Great location, good movement, late movement right there, and Andres can't catch up with it.
Base is empty with 2 down now for Wally Joyner. Joyner doing the DHing. With Galarraga back, it's become a part-time player. As that's bounced foul. You saw the numbers for Joyner, of course, all of that put up during his American League years out in the Angels organization.
Well, his first year with the Angels, he hit by 15, 16 home runs the first half, and then everybody figured, okay, just pitch him away, and he's going to hit singles and doubles. But last year he broke his collarbone, very inactive and playing with San Diego, and they brought him over along with Sanders, who had a career year last year, or very close to it. Veras for some speed, but also they brought Joyner over in case Galarraga couldn't play. As it turns out, Galarraga's healthy, and Wally's not getting a lot of at bats.
Now Sidney Ponson will drop that breaking ball. Backdoor breaking pitch on the outside corner. He's fanned 3. Orioles lead it 1-0.
You need help optimizing.
Pick up this great-looking Orioles flag tonight for only $20 plus shipping and handling. Operators are standing by, so call 1-888-624-BIRD right now. Michael?
Okay, Tommy, appreciate that. And what'd you call him, Ironsides?
Raymond Burr.
Raymond Burr up here in the booth.
Our colleague, our beloved colleague, suffered an eating injury. No, he slipped and tore his Achilles tendon.
You've been practicing all day for these one-liners to get me.
Will Clark with a fly ball right center field. Brian Jordan is going to track it and put it away. Matter of fact, Will Clark stopped by. Tommy and I down getting ready to do Orioles report today, and Will stopped by. I said, Will, what are we going to do with this guy? He said, just like I do with all the animals, shoot him. That's the only thing that's left right now.
He wanted to use me as target practice.
Yeah, there he is. There's good old Ironside in a wheelchair.
In the back of the booth, melting down.
Well, Jeff Conine, who steps to the plate now, he said, what happened to Tom? And I said, well, I think he tripped in a buffet line. And I'll tell you what, I said, this might get him out of this mini slump he's in, because he was looking for something to laugh at. And no offense, Tommy, but
on the ground to the left of Rafael Furcal, that slick fielding young shortstop. Conine made a bid for a base hit, but Furcal can pick him with the best of.
Well, not only that, they say of all, I mean, Andrew Jones has a bullet out there, and I mean, he can just throw the ball from center field. But Furcal, I don't know if he's 19 or he's 22, depending what. It doesn't really matter, and they don't care either. But he's got great range and the best arm on this ball club. Not to mention he stole, what, 73 bases in 83 games at the minor league level.
Yes, they do love him. As Harold Baines now trying to go to work against Andy Ashby. The O's got one in the opening inning. They've come out trying to get on Ashby quick, looking for something in the zone. Clark and Conine early in the pitch sequence from Ashby.
And of course, if you're Andy, you figure I lucked out in the first inning. They didn't run the bases particularly well, and maybe that's going to be my bad inning. Because Mike Flanagan's talked about it. Flanny's in the booth tonight. When you come out of that bullpen, everything's different. Mound's different. It counts. You got an umpire. You got a hitter up there. Different perspective. You certainly try to simulate exactly what you're going to face, but a lot of times it's very difficult to do that. They don't hit too many of those high curveballs in the bullpen.
Mike and I watched Andy Ashby last Saturday night, and he did. He looked very, very good. He's impressive. He kept the ball down. He pitched to both sides of the plate, and he did. He had a 9-2 lead early on, and that certainly helped him sequence his way through, Jim. But
well, it also allows you to relax.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm talking to Mike Messina today, who's had one of those incredibly tough luck years as far as run support, and mentally wears you down. Because you feel like you have to be perfect. Now, you certainly don't. But the feeling is that, I mean, last night, everybody talking about it today. Leo Mazzoni said Maddox came in after trailing 1-0. He said, well, what do you think it's going to take to win? And I said, you give up over 3, you're probably not going to beat Messina. As it turned out, Maddox gave up 3. And the Braves scored 6, 2 of them in the 9th inning. And Mike probably went out there when he wouldn't have if he had a lead.
3-2 now on Harold Baines as Ashby tried to run that cutter in on Harold's hands. Harold's been off to a solid beginning this month of July. With 3 of his 9 home runs.
And 4 games, so yeah, he has. They're right, dropping the arm. Cannot. Body's gone. Can't get the arm out in front. I don't like to issue those 2-out walks.
That'll get Baines aboard, and it will get Greg Myers to the plate for the O's. Myers getting the call tonight.
The reason I say that, he struck out last night against Littenberg in the 8th inning, but what that 2-out walk does, you don't really know how it's going to play out, but it can maybe be another 5 pitches. Turns out here, he hits the first pitch right to second base.
And Kilby Overis will toss out Myers easily, and we're going to the 3rd inning. Orioles with a 1-0 lead.
First time on television.
Joe Simpson of the Atlanta Braves, who announces for him, he said, well, better parking. First thing he said, he sees Tom, he said, well, I guess you're parking a little bit better now.
Front row.
That's right.
Javi Lopez leading it off against Sidney Ponson as this is bounced foul outside the bag. So Lopez really had his 1999 season turn into a train wreck. Now this is one of the finest young catchers in the game. The mainstay behind the plate for this Atlanta organization, and missed all of but 65 games in 1999 as he bounces it just short on a big hop for Mike Bordick. Throws out Lopez.
Yeah, well, he brings one of those dimensions where he is a terrific power hitter. And a lot of the words, I was talking to him yesterday, I said, a lot of people were speculating maybe your career was over, and he said, that all came out from Sandy Alomar Jr., who had a similar injury, and he said, he didn't really know about my injury, but he rehabbed it, and he said he feels fine. Right knee is the one that hurt, so he does add another dimension because he can pop the ball.
Now here's Reggie Sanders. Ground ball up the middle. Oh, look at Bordick. So smooth handling that short hop to throw out Sanders. You steer the baseball towards Mike Bordick.
Not a bad idea.
You are going to be in very good stead. All Oriole pitchers very aware of that. All right, making plans now to bring to the kids the yard Monday, July 17th. Cal Ripken bobblehead figure night. All kids age 14 and under that come out to see the O's and the Marlins will receive a free Ripken bobblehead figure courtesy of Majestic Athletic. Jim, you're handling it very well.
Exactly. We have a demo here.
There it is. The Ripken likeness in bobblehead figure form.
Yeah, it's same number. It's amazing.
And you were wondering what that was. So see, the organization was kind enough to bestow the Ripken bobblehead figurine on you. I expect to see it on your mantle next time.
I'm going to put it in the front of my car.
Okay. Well, how about the back seat? Why don't you go there with
No, that's too routine. Seriously, nobody has on their front hood that I know of. Really good into the wind.
Let us know what you find out.
Yeah.
When you make that your hood ornament.
I wonder if Tom David has any super glue.
It's bounced foul from the bat of Rafael Furcal. Now here's the young man. And Jim brought up a little bit of controversy about what the birth certificate says. Is it 19 or is it 22 or 23?
They don't care.
They really don't.
Because he can work. The count is on base percentage, especially leading off when Veras was hurt early. Over 400. When he gets on, he can fly. Switch hitter. Didn't start hitting from this side till 97. In fact, Merv Rudman said he never really saw many left-handed pitchers in spring training. All of a sudden he turned around, and he's kind of like Eddie Murray was early on, where Eddie was much better from the right side because that was his natural side. This guy's a contact hitter that can run.
Struck him out. Ponson will blow away young Rafael Furcal. Well, Ponson has already fanned 4 through the first 9 he's faced. Birds head to the bottom of the third with a 1-0 lead. The third, as Brady Anderson's going to lead it off against Andy Ashby, and we're delighted to have Janice Murray with us. Janice, the wife, of course, of Orioles, well, surefire Hall of Famer to be, and now first base coach Eddie Murray. And Eddie just had to show those quick feet, Janice, to be able to get out of the way of that line drive. But so nice to have you here. Good to see you. And we know tonight was the first night of the Orioles annual food drive. So you were out of one of the gates. How did everything go, and how was the response?
I was at Utah Street, which I didn't really want to be there because of the rain. But I tell you what, it was a hot gate. We got more people, unfortunately, because of the rain, I think, forgot the canned goods, but were more than willing to give monetary donations, and it was wonderful. And I'm talking about $5 and $10. People were donating. It's a really wonderful thing. I will say that for every $1 that we collect, $13 worth of groceries are distributed to the families in need. So that's just as needy for the monetary aspect as the actual groceries.
But they would like to have food.
Of course we would like to have food, sure, and that is non-perishable items.
And still have 2 more days to do it. Started tonight, but the rest of the weekend, tomorrow and Sunday. How about the baby items, too? Great need for that, right, Janice?
Great need for that. There is nearly 1 in 3 people who need food from the food bank are under the age of 17. And I'm a mother of 2 children myself. I know we're always in need of diapers and wipies and baby food and those types of items. People don't think of that, but that is something we need.
Speaking of the 2 lovely young Murray ladies, Jessica and Jordan are downstairs right now.
They're downstairs
as we speak. Watching mommy on TV. Yeah. So I know Eddie very happy that the 3 loves of his life are back in Baltimore for the summer. And you got the girls out of school a little bit early this year, didn't you?
A little bit early because I knew we had this food drive that we had to come support.
Yeah.
So 2 more days to be out here. And
so, I mean, you get a great cause. You get to meet all the wives.
Get to meet all the wives. We're in the husband's jersey, so you can't miss us. And on occasion, if asked, we'll even sign an autograph.
Yeah, are you doing autographs?
Sure. Especially for the little kids. We like that.
Now, what about talk baseball? They try to engage in some baseball talk when they give you their canned food items?
I have heard some old Eddie Murray stories that I have to pass along.
To us?
Things I didn't know about him. No, I have to pass them along to him.
Mike Bordick with a drive to right center field, and oh, look at Andrew Jones playing that shallow center field and making the sensational diving grab.
Well, I'll tell you what, Brian Jordan got a great jump on this ball, too, and he just kind of deferred to the 2-time Gold Glover. Great jump. He shifted that way, playing a couple steps over. Ball looks like it's going to fall. Right here, Jordan says, no, you got it, Andrew. I've seen this story before. Terrific play. Great body control. I guess maybe some people said he didn't have to dive, but I tell you what, you can see the focus and the concentration.
Lino to Shields with a ground ball, and Rafael Furcal, who throws out to Shields. So, Janice, one more time. You got 2 more nights.
We're going
to get it in, right?
I will say this. We've got a goal. Last year, we collected over 12,000 pounds of food and $9,200. This year, we want to double that if we...
HTS coverage of Orioles baseball on this Friday night at the Yard, being brought to you by Jeep. See what's new at your nearby Jeep dealer. Also by your nearby Chrysler Plymouth dealer, and by Lowe's Home Improvement Warehouse. Lowe's, improving home improvement. We head to the top of the 4th here at the Yard. And And the Orioles with their 1-0 lead over the Atlanta Braves. Michael Reggie, Jim Palmer, Tom Davis as we take it down from on high in our Southwest Airlines plane view from the warehouse. Sidney Ponson has gone through the Braves lineup one time as he faces the leadoff hitter now, second baseman Kilvio Veras. Ponson has yet to allow a base hit. He walked Veras to start the game, and that's been it.
That's the only blip. And boy, he's been late on every fastball, and Brady's still playing him straight away. Usually hitters tell you where you try to, how they react to your stuff. And there's another one. See, Brady just, he said, I don't want to play more than 1 or 2 steps. But a lot of times hitters, the way they approach the ball, make you do that. Especially when Ponson says, we don't have a radar gun here tonight, but he's got to be throwing anywhere. Usually 94 to 97. So far, terrific command.
Veras was caught in that rundown and seemed to tweak maybe a knee, and now slow to get up after Ponson buzzed that 1-2 and that 0-2 fastball up and in on him.
Well, it's a purpose pitch in the sense that he's been away. Now he's going to come in. Let's see if we can see right there. Maybe the back leg. It looks like that left leg. We're only guessing.
Well, as we mentioned a moment ago, I mean, he came up a little bit ouchy after he was in that rundown and got tagged out by Mike Bordick back in the opening inning. So Veras getting looked at, says he's all right.
Well, it's a leg. It's just not the left leg. It's the right leg.
And he'll get back in to face Ponson. Let's watch Veras in this rundown as Ponson held the baseball, then stepped off and hung him up.
They run him back right there. Get it to Bordick. And he's just going to fake a couple of times. You never know. Right there, it looks like he comes up very gingerly. 25 steals and caught 11 times. And he came in with a on-base percentage of over 400, 413. Brett Boone played second base for the Braves last year. Boone didn't have that productive year as far as hitting as many home runs. Pretty good glove, but doesn't have the quickness. Not a good leadoff guy.
That's strikeout number 5 for Sidney Ponson as he has the whole repertoire working here, but especially that number 1, the fastball, as he's used it to bury Atlanta hitters.
Well, he's just going right after him. His velocity good tonight. Where, why mess around? He's thrown a couple of breaking balls, 1 for a strikeout. Right now, the hitter's not reacting to his fastball. Second times around, we'll see if they'll be able to make some kind of adjustment. So far, Finley Veras could. And then right there where you show him the good fastball, and you better get it going tonight if you're a hitter. You better trigger the bat. And that's what's make the breaking ball even more effective. Establish the fastball and then mix them up.
And the Orioles sweep the Atlanta Braves down at Turner Field. Sidney Ponson came up with a complete game win as his fastball will miss the outside corner. As we said, he's 5-3 against the National League already in his 2 years of pitching work for the Orioles. And beat Atlanta. Solid performance, and he just beats Andrew Jones by going up in the zone with a fastball.
Fastball hitter. Couple of home runs in his first World Series at age 20. And right here, see if you can hit it. Okay, we were around a cage yesterday, and John Sherholtz, who's the general manager of the Atlanta Braves, I said, how are you going to keep up with the Yankees? They keep getting different players. I said, what's your payroll? He said $82 million. I said, and Andrew's standing right there. I said, come on, let's ink him to a long-term deal. He goes, here's the pen. Let's do it.
Andrew Jones reaching out. This is lifted to shallow left. Mike Bordick to draw the beat on it and put it away. Ponson yet to give up a base hit. Here through the first 3 2/3. Our Time Bridge Technologies trivia tonight. Chipper Jones became the Atlanta Braves' 3rd NL MVP last year. Can you name the other 2? Other 2 Atlanta Braves MVPs.
No, I got one of them.
I got to go back a ways for another.
One was a switch hitter. infielder.
Drive to deep right off the bat of Chipper Jones, and that ball is out of here. We are tied at 1 apiece. Breaking ball.
Right.
And Chipper Jones took it deep.
Well, this is part of Sidney. I mean, he's got the great fastball. He struck out Jones with a fastball away, and apparently he thought it was a good pitch. But what it does, it speeds up the bat, and when you throw a breaking ball down and into a left-hander, so Chipper Jones ties it up. 23rd home run. Here's the first inning. Boom. There's another one.
So tied at 1 now on the Chipper Jones home run. And there's Brian Jordan. The base is empty and 2 down. Ponson with the 5 Ks, and then that first pitch breaking ball. Chipper Jones ties it by going deep. It's 23rd of the year. 2-1 now on Jordan.
And I don't want to intimate that you don't use your breaking ball. It's just if you don't make the appropriate pitch with it. Because as a pitcher, not just close to 4,000 innings, made a lot of mistakes as far as location, because you can't always guide the ball where you want. But when you speed up the bat, you're in trouble.
Line to Delano DeShields, who takes care of it. And we'll go to the bottom of the 4th. Now tied at 1. We bring you back to the yard. Chipper Jones' solo home run, his 23rd of the year, is tied it at 1 each. Albert Bell will lead it off now for the O's here in the bottom of the 4th. Orioles got their run on a Bell base hit back in the 1st. Keith Lockhart has taken over at second base, so Kilvio Veras, who wasn't feeling well last night, and now leaving the game after 3.5 innings tonight. Wait till we hear some official word out of the Atlanta clubhouse as Albert Bell rips a base hit to center field. Line drive single over the head of Andy Ashby, so Bell's 2 for 2.
Yeah, one on a slider, one on a fastball. And Ashby right around 90 miles per hour. Not a power arm. Used to throw maybe 92, 93, and then you talk to a lot of the scouts, just has not had great velocity with his fastball. So when he gets behind the hitter, or he doesn't make good pitches, and that's why his ERA, I mean, you look at his ERA this year, until this month, 5.17, 7.27, 6.64. Only this month at 180 has he been effective.
Surhoff with a fly ball that is going to get out of play in the seats down the line and left. And BJ had a base hit his first time. And on his single to left, Albert Bell was thrown out at the plate. And that ended the opening inning.
Well, it's just amazing how shallow, not Brian Jordan in right, but how shallow Jones in center and even Sanders in left play, which is why he was able to throw Albert Bell out.
Called strike on Surhoff, so Ashby is ahead at 0-2. From a timing standpoint, we got it out last night with Harold Baines at the plate. And there's a shot from our camera in left field to show you how much real estate is behind Andrew Jones in center field. And then promptly Harold Baines drove the ball over the head of Jones, who in his haste to get back to the wall actually overran the baseball and allowed a run to score.
Well, they were talking about on the bench, they thought he was going to catch up with that ball, but what happened was the ball got to the wall because this is a smaller ballpark, much quicker than normal.
Now Ashby working out of the set with Bell aboard, and the 1-2 to Surhoff. This down and away. Well, we've talked about your performance on the mound. A lot of times you were not opposed to moving an outfielder around a little bit to dictate how you were going to pitch a certain hitter.
Well, the perfect
what
example.
if Andrew Jones was playing behind you?
Well, with 2 outs and a man on first, which was the situation last night, I'd turn around and move him back. I don't care how good you are. Don't want a ball hit over your head. It's a run. I mean, there are times when you don't mind. Early, I mean, maybe with 1 out, even early. Guy hits a line drive over the infield. I mean, you can just highlight show how many balls he's able to catch. But with 2 outs, runner on first base, or late in the ball game, potential winning run at first, you don't. It's a cardinal rule in baseball. Don't let the ball go over your head.
Ashby's 2-2 to Surhoff. Again, out of play left side.
I was thinking today that that would happen maybe 2, 3, 4 times a year with Paul Blair. I remember up in Minnesota, Dave McNally's pitching, and somebody drives the ball up the gap in left center, and Weaver goes crazy, and Blair overreacts, and next inning he's out at the 445 sign in dead center in the old park in Minnesota. Hands across his chest, and Rich Rollins was a platoon guy, played against left-handers. He hits a single up the middle. It turns out to be a double because Blair was so deep, just to make a point to Earl. And of course McNally, he said, you don't listen to him. Play where you want to play.
And make those points when I'm on the mound, huh?
Exactly. See, I could play thinking really shallow with Maddox because he throws about 73% of the balls put in play around the ground. But right here, 3-2, he's going to have to throw a strike. Nobody out. Jones still playing in left center. Ball up the gap in right center. Albert's going to run forever.
Bell's going as this is bounced right back to Ashby. So the Orioles are going to stay out of the double play as Ashby will throw out Surhoff. Mike Hargrove started Albert Bell on the 3-2 pitch. Tonight's contestant in the Kids Post Field of Dreams game is Malcolm Goditis Evanson of Germantown, Maryland. If Baltimore turns a double play, Malcolm will have the chance to win a week at the Cal Ripken Baseball School next summer. To enter the Kids Post Field of Dreams game, send a postcard to the address you see on your screen. So good luck to Malcolm. There's Will Clark now. Clark flied out to Brian Jordan in right field his first time. Orioles have the potential go-ahead run in scoring position here. Clark at the plate. Ashby staying away from Will Clark.
Well, that's what he wants to do. He wants to sink the ball. You talked about it. He's a sinker, slider, splitter guy. Strength is down in the strike zone. Strength is ahead in the count. So you'll chase the ball below the strike zone. So when you do hit it, you hit it on the ground. Throwing 17 home runs in 16 starts.
That was ripped foul. Ooh, look out down in that first row past the Orioles dugout. Everybody okay down there? That was sizzled off the bat of Clark.
Well, he's hit 3 home runs in 16 at bats against Ashby.
First home run of the year.
Yeah, exactly. Right center. Yeah, by bomb.
June 11th. Then got him in that 13-4 Phillies win last week at the Vet. 1-2 now on Will.
And it's funny, as great a job as Terry Crowley does, just a little suggestion from Eddie Murray, Eddie of 3,000 hits plus and 500 home runs, just a little taller at the plate. Getting your head down and losing all your leverage. And
he went too far as third base umpire Guccione rings up Will.
Well, we'll see. We're probably going to have an angle very similar to what Chris had down at third base. Yeah, right here, he's looking down that line. Yeah, I guess he went. Pitchers love that. Hitters hate it. Call me out, but do it a little bit middle of the road, a little milder.
Yeah, here's Jeff Conine.
I think it's that Leslie Nielsen thing.
You know about that.
What? No, just because. Oh, my movie.
Yes, your movie.
I love people when they play that rerun of The Naked Gun. They go, I saw your movie. I like,
You left an indelible impression, Jim.
Crying in the booth. You know what? We talked about this before. It's not a bad idea to have your own psychologist for the booth. Like we had Dr. Joyce Brothers for the booth. For the booth that day. The booth. Big game. You had 6 broadcasters, your own psychologist. I could see that with Coach Sell or something like that. You need it.
Conine with a rocket that's foul. Jeff made a bid for extra bases. can understand that. Why not? Help the head in the booth.
That's right. I was talking to Jeff Conine, and he's been in one of those mini slumps. If Cal's not hurt, he's probably not going to be playing because he's 2 for his last 33. And I said, is it physical? He said after a while it becomes physical, then it becomes mental. You just don't feel as positive. You try to go out there with a positive, but you try different things, things that are normal, which is just see the ball, hit the ball. All of a sudden, it becomes a little bit more of a paralysis by over-analysis. He said even last night with great numbers against Maddox, he said a lot different when you're in a little mini slump.
And the 1-2 from Ashby. Called strike 3. Jeff Conine is done. So are the Orioles after 4. We're in a 1-1 tie when we bring you back on HTS.
Braves and the Orioles are tied at 1. Michael?
Okay, Tom, thank you. We head to inning number 5. And it will be Andres Galarraga to lead it off. Wally Joyner and Javi Lopez to follow. Galarraga had much to do with the Braves win last night. Picked up a run driven in. Also had that leadoff base hit in the 7th inning that ultimately came to the dugout with run number 4 on a Bobby Bonilla base hit off Mike Messina. This is drilled at deep center. Anderson, long run, looking up, and that ball is gone. Andres Galarraga, solo home run, taking Ponson deep. Second time tonight. Braves have gone out of the yard, and they lead it 2-1.
All right, long distance souvenir. So now the 19th home run against right-handed pitching for Galarraga. 375 hitter against lefties, and right here he makes an adjustment. Gets a little bit quicker, struck out his first time. Belt high fastball. 2-1 Braves. 44 home runs 2 years ago. First year with the Braves, they said, well, can he hit home runs when he leaves Colorado? There's your answer. What, 47, 41, 44, and now 21 on the year.
And the Braves, just like that, go to the lead for the first time tonight. Base hit right field, Wally Joyner. Well, Jim, this is the second time around for this Atlanta offense. I was talking to Mike Hargrove tonight, and I mentioned to him on his show during Orioles Report that, and Mike said it too, you had to tip your cap to this ball club. They played baseball the right way. We saw the execution last night. Yes, they get the good pitching, but you look at this hitting lineup that takes the diamond every night, and these guys are professional, go about their business, and know how to manufacture runs when that's necessary as well.
And what do they do better than just about every other team in baseball year in and year out? They pitch.
Base hit left field, Javi Lopez. So following the home run from Galarraga and the base hit from Joyner. Now the single to left from Javi Lopez, and the Braves are going at it against Sidney Ponson here in inning number 5, and that will get a visit from pitching coach Sammy Ellis.
Well, this is all going to be about, I'm not going to try to put words in his mouth, but this is not about the second time around. It's just a series of not very good pitches by Sidney. Fastball down the middle to Galarraga. Changeup down the middle to Joyner. Speed up his bat. A guy that doesn't play a lot. A hanging breaking ball to Lopez. So you're all right. Nothing wrong with your stuff. We're talking home run to Chipper Jones. Bad pitch selection, speeded up his bat with a curveball. Right here, just has not made good pitches. So let's focus, let's concentrate. And Sammy Ellis said it from day 1 of spring training. Maturation, composure. It's not about natural ability. It's about taking all that natural ability and being able to take it in the right direction. And he's got the skills. It just has to be a little bit more consistent.
To a board with nobody out. Here's Reggie Sanders as Ponson will miss high with a fastball. Talking to your former teammate Merv Rettenman around the cage last night, and I asked him about Ponson. Very impressed. This ball club, why wouldn't you be, as Sidney. A very solid outing against the Braves last year in Turner Field, pitching the complete game as Sanders fouls it away. And it was one of complete games in succession by the Orioles as Ponson won game 1 of the series going around. And the next day, Juan Guzman, former Orioles starter, went the distance to beat Atlanta.
And then Mike Messina won 21-2 on that Sunday night game. But right there, Myers moved up and in. He threw the ball down and away. So right now, doesn't have the command that he had early on.
Ground ball in the big hop at Conine. To the Shields for one. Double play. So Ponson got what he wanted, the ground ball at Jeff Conine, and that started the 5-4-3 double play as Wally Joyner now stands at third base.
Well, Sanders came in hitting 146 with runners in scoring possession. Low breaking ball, chopper to Jeff, over to Delino to Shields, and you get 2 quick outs. So now you're just 1 out away from escaping with only the home run by Galarraga. And you've already thrown the ball right by Furcal. Now we'll see if he makes an adjustment. He just zipped it by him outside corner for one of his 5 strikeouts.
Got in last night as a pinch runner and stole a base and scored in that 2-run Atlanta 9th inning.
Well, he's a Mickey Rivers type of guy. You know, I mean, just if it gets on base, everything changes. And this is what it's all about. How do you pitch with two outs? You know, are you able to get the key outs? I got to look at the, you know, if I'm Sidney Ponson, I figure, okay, Andy Ashby, you know, he's pitching a good game, but I'm not going to get beat to 2-1. Get this guy out. Make the pitches. And he falls right behind 3-1. Because Rivera's out of the game with that leg injury, and the guy on deck, Lockhart, you know, last night did not get any base hits, but he's a good line drive hitter.
Slashed out of play, so that count runs full now against Rafael Furcal.
And the whole Oriole defense, they know you don't want a base hit in front of you with this guy. And with 2 outs, any ball hitting the hole is going to be trouble. I mean, speed puts such tremendous pressure on a defense.
And now the payoff pitch. Fly ball left center field. Surhoff coming toward the diamond to reach up and put it away. We're halfway home at the yard. Braves take the lead on the Galarraga home run.
Double.
Harold Baines will lead it off for the O's here in the bottom of the 5th with Atlanta on top now 2-1. So Andy Ashby, who did not fare well back in his start here in a Phillies uniform in June, and then beat the Orioles 5 nights ago. Now with the lead for the first time in this one.
Now he's made some awfully good pitches tonight. They're early on with his rhythm as far as getting the fastball over, but back-to-back strikeouts to end the 4th. Again, not as overpowering as maybe a couple of years ago. You see right there, just sometimes getting out, can't get the stay back long enough to get his arm out in front. Fastball right around 90 miles per hour. But of course, if you keep it like Greg Maddux does, you know, out of the middle of the plate. You know, down and in, down and away, change speeds, couple of breaking balls every time, and you're going to have a lot of success. The ability to slow down the bat by disrupting the rhythm, the timing.
I asked Ashby about maybe wishing that things worked out a little bit differently in his second tour of duty with Philadelphia. And he said, well, sure, even though now I'm on a ball club that's going to be obviously either leading the division or in contention for a postseason spot, you never want a ball club to feel like you failed. And Baines with a bouncing ball that will get by Lockhart, base hit right field. So Harold Baines lead it off with a base hit to right here in the Orioles half of the 5th. With that, we'll tell you today's contestant in our Pepsi Big Slam Home Run Derby inning is Karen Sundquist of Washington, D.C. All right, Karen, if a Baltimore player hits a home run during this Pepsi Big Slam inning, you'll win a case of Pepsi and $100. You can enter the Pepsi Big Slam Home Run Derby inning, send a postcard, the address on your screen, or register online at www.htsonline.com. Baines aboard with a leadoff single. Here's Greg Myers now, the left-handed hitting catcher to face Ashby.
Well, remember what I heard you do the interview with Andy, and he said it's a matter when you have to face a ball club back-to-back times, as this time 3 times in what, a couple of 2-3 weeks. Said it's a matter of making your pitches, and he knows. He does right here. Greg Myers would love to hit a ball right into right field, drive a ball in the gap, or hit it by the first baseman.
Myers will pop it up on the left side for Rafael Furcal. And that's out number 1 here in the 5th.
It's all a matter, of course, if you're a pitcher, you want to stay out of the place in the plate where he can do that. And of course, if you're Greg Myers, you want to wait, if you're patient enough, to get a pitch that you can hit by the first baseman, or you can create that first and third situation.
Look at Brady Anderson to the plate. Brady with a walk and a strikeout looking tonight. Andy Ashby has fanned 4 this evening through his first 4 1/3 of work.
And only 1 walk. That was making 2 walks, actually. The one to Harold.
Well, the Orioles, we've seen the 2 solo home runs from Atlanta. Birds have been a little bit of a home run drought by their standards. They have last 4 games going back to that series in Philadelphia with but the 1 home run, the solo home run from Will Clark against Ashby. Brady Anderson in the air to left center field. Andrew Jones, as always, with the signature one-handed grab. Well, that will tell you that for over 40 years, Phillips Seafood Restaurants have been serving authentic Maryland-style seafood and award-winning crab cakes. You can stop by one of these local Phillips Seafood locations and get your claws on Phillips' new premium crab cakes, a 5-ounce all-lump crab creation, connoisseur's delight. Remember, at Phillips, you can taste the tradition. Orioles all-star selection Mike Bordick looking for his first base hit tonight as Ashby will work the outside corner. So
pretty big strike zone tonight. Game proceeding very nicely. Ball's off the corner being called. Good night to be a pitcher. It's interesting you bring up the home run. I thought I saw an interesting statistic at the All-Star break that in the first half of this baseball season, American and National League, 41% of the runs were generated by home runs.
A little bit high for your taste, isn't it?
Well, it's the way it is. Go back to the year before the last 2 expansion, which is 1992, and going into the All-Star break, in fact, that year, 37 batters hit 20 home runs or more. This year at the All-Star break, 37 batters had 20 home runs or more. Home runs are up, what, 11% this year? They were up 12% last year. So not only do chicks dig the long ball, so do managers and general managers and fans, because it's an integral part of this game. How about the Cardinals last night and the White Sox? Bludgeoned them 13-6.
Ground ball to the hole for Cowell. Will backhand and go the short way to Lockhart to get the force on Baines. We are through 5 in downtown Baltimore. Atlanta with a 2-1 lead. On the 2-0 pitch, B.J. Surhoff to take care of it for out number 1 here in the 6th.
Sidney pitching pretty well. He's hit tonight. We talked about 41% of the runs the first half on home runs. Tonight for the Braves, 100%.
This is true.
If you're going to throw them, and maybe that's my experience with having Robin Roberts as my first roommate, who one year threw what, 38 home runs or whatever. He said throw him solo, nobody on.
Andrew Jones with a ground ball to short. Mike Bordick will pick it and throw out Jones. So Sidney Ponson through Lockhart and Jones as we finish off our Time Bridge Technologies trivia. Chipper Jones, the Atlanta Braves' 3rd NL MVP last season. Can you name the other 2? You have a switch hitter. I said you've got to go back a ways. That's Dale Murphy.
Well, and I go to Terry Pendleton. Yes.
And we ring the bell twice. Once each. How about that?
But I only had Murphy being the MVP once. So I was
half right, huh?
Well, no, I had his name right. I just didn't have
half of the 2 years he won.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, Murphy kind of broke up the Mike Schmidt dominance in the National League, winning MVPs.
399 lifetime home runs. Never could get number 400.
He and Al Kaline. Those called it quits at 399. Well, Chipper Jones tied things up back in the 4th inning. as he unloaded over the auxiliary board in right, number 23 on the year for Chipper Jones, as he keys it foul.
How about Chipper Jones? Came up as a #1 draft choice, came up as a shortstop, played shortstop for a while, then they moved him to third, and he's a big guy. And look at it, they have a nice note on him. I mean, he's 93, 99 stolen base attempts, 81 successful.
Fly ball to left field. B.J. Surhoff is there. He's got it, and we're going to the bottom of the 6th. Ponson and Ashby matching pitches. 2-1 Atlanta. Orioles got one in the first, but that's been it. 4 zeros in the next 4 innings of hitting against Andy Ashby. So Delano DeShields now to lead it off. Albert Bell, B.J. Surhoff to follow. Birds down by a run.
Well, it behooved the Orioles with DeShields with 22 steals to get on. And the reason I said, we talked about it last night, a lot of times it's not about how many hits you give up, especially if you keep them in the ballpark with Albert Bell on deck. It's win. And the leadoff batter, a guy that can manufacture runs. That's what he wants you to do, work the count. It's behind 2-0, take those borderline pitches. It's that much more difficult as a pitcher when you know a guy's not going to help you out.
On 4 pitches, Ashby walks Delano DeShields to open up this 6th inning. Well, the Orioles get DeShields on for the 2nd time tonight. Of course, get the speed on. Pat Corrales knows that. And again, if you're just joining us, tell you one more time, Pat Corrales, the acting manager, not only tonight, but tomorrow afternoon here at the Yard. And then, as the Braves move on in their road trip, they'll go for 5 straight because of the suspension of Braves manager Bobby Cox.
Yeah, an incident early on where he bumped umpire Darryl Cousins, right?
Yeah. Right before the All-Star break.
He was saying it's kind of a mutual bumping.
The office of the National League president did not quite see it that way.
Actually, Frank Robinson. Yeah. The long arm of the justice.
We had Frank up here earlier in the year after that wild Detroit Tigers Chicago White Sox brawl. There's 21 suspensions. Strike on Albert Bell. Albert is 2 for 2 tonight.
You know, one thing that Andy Ashby hasn't done tonight is get into splitter counts. He hasn't thrown the splitter very often. So Albert with a 2 for 2, 1 on a fastball, 1 on a slider.
And the Orioles are hoping that Albert's bat starts to warm, much like the entire month of June when he was named American League Player of the Month. There's 37 runs driven in during that month that broke the Orioles' existing club record. And Mike Young, of course.
Well, what was really key, you know, in a year where Albert has 18 home runs, he hit 11 of those, and most of them early in about a 3-week period, 10 of them at least. And added the one late in the year in Boston. Oh, a pitch out is almost drilled.
Fly ball, shallow left center field.
Sorry to do a little play-by-play there.
It's all right.
But Lopez runs out, and Ashby throws the ball down the middle. Could have been a home run.
Go over those signs again. First start for Ashby. He's smiling about it a little.
I mean, they're going to pitch out. Watch him move right here. He goes for the pitch out, and the ball down the chute, right on the end of the bat, or the Orioles might have led this game 3-2. There's the pitch out. There's the fastball down the middle. Well, Lopez has only thrown out 9 of 45 guys that tried to steal. So if you're Delano DeShields and you're feeling good, at some point you got to be running.
Maybe that's Andy Ashby's recreation of Raleigh fingers to Johnny Bench in the World Series. Huh? Remember that?
Yeah.
74-3. No, would have been 3.
Probably 72.
72. That's right. The Mets and the A's 73. 72. The A's and the Reds. Surhoff with a drive to left, but Reggie Sanders has him played wonderfully well, shading Surhoff that way toward the line as he puts away the Surhoff fly ball. 2 down now. Pick up this good-looking Orioles flag today. It only costs you $20 plus shipping and handling. Operator standing by. Give them a call with that number on your screen. And DeShields still at first base, and there's Will Clark. Clark's 0 for 2 tonight. Jim, this is the second straight inning.
Oh,
Orioles have had the leadoff hitter on, and
haven't even been able to advance him.
Yeah.
I mean, advantageous. You know, Harold Baines gets a single to start the 5th. Myers can't get a ball that he can pull. He pops up to shortstop. And Brady, he flies out to center. And then Bordick bounced out.
That's on the outside corner as Ashby will get ahead of Will Clark.
That's what pitching's all about. Lopez moved in, even if early in the count, even if you don't throw it for a strike. Will Clark had to move his feet. That outside corner is going to look a little different because of that pitch. A long discussion with Bobby Bonilla saying today. He said, just nobody guys don't pitch in anymore. That's the. So when I came up, he said, until you were able to hit the ball away. In other words, you got pitches to hit away. They pounded you inside. He said now, he said hardly anybody. Guys are hitting balls 3-4 inches off the outside corner like they're down the middle. It's a different approach. But that purpose pitch inside to most likely set up the ball away. And I think they're going to move right outside corner.
And that miss low and away. Well, who knows, Jim? Maybe this will all come full circle, and we'll get back to that era of the 60s, 70s, even into the 80s, where pitchers do come in, try to move hitters off the plate. If they see you leaning out over, maybe then the game gets back to where it was. If pitchers start taking control of the plate a little bit more. The Shield's going as Clark fouls it away. Or do you think it's too far gone in the thick of the past?
Well, I think they can make a couple of changes, and I think Sandy Alderson, who is kind of in charge of trying to maybe make suggestions, certainly because I don't think he might like to think he dictates what the strike zone is going to be. He said, listen, let's get away from the horizontal strike zone, go more vertical. So if that would happen, then you'd have more inside pitches called. Now, they can say what they want about the aluminum bat because it does have some effect, but if there were more inside pitches called strikes, guys would pitch in there more. And if they took away the armament, we saw that last night with Galarraga. I mean, when a guy can wear I don't know what you want to call it, an armament on your front arm.
It's protective padding.
Right, exactly.
So you got guys like Vaughn and Canseco and what have you.
Yeah, Brady
have him down from the bicep area all the way down into just above the wrist. 3-2 now on Will Clark. But see, I would like to see. Go ahead and call that pitch at the letters a strike again. You just said it.
Well, even
get the strike zone more vertical.
Yeah, and I think
go back up to the letters.
I think we've seen it. I think I've seen more high strikes called this year than I have, and maybe because there's a lot of new umpires in the league. I mean, I think Rich Reeker is behind the plate tonight. Ample strike zone. I mean, he's very aggressive calling strikes tonight.
3-2 pitch stayed high, so a couple of walks from Andy Ashby, the 6th inning, and now the Orioles have the tying run in scoring position, the go-ahead run, in the person of Will Clark at first base with 2 out, with Jeff Conine at the plate. Although Jeff Conine ran through a little bit of a cool stretch as the season wound down in 1999. In the year and a half that he's been with the ball club, Jeff is at the moment going through the deepest drought that he's been in, and swinging a bat for the Orioles. Just 2 for his last 34.
And again, if Cal Ripken is not hurt, you have a little bit more depth. You sit him down for a while. Give him a day off, or maybe a couple of days off.
Well, how about Ryan Miner? I mean, Ryan Miner comes up here to play. Now, Mike Hargrove told us at the time, we don't want to forget about Jeff Conine because Jeff was swinging the bat well. This is 10 games ago that Ryan Miner pulled a muscle in the rib cage area during BP pregame hitting practice. Has not played since. It was supposed to be a day-to-day thing. Talked to Mike Hargrove about it tonight, and he said we're all frustrated by it. Don't know when he's going to come back.
the disabled list. You can go back a week. Hasn't played. And this club is 11 games under 500. You're minus a player. Well, Conine 2 for his last 34. Doesn't mean he's not going to get a hit here.
Ground ball, diving stop, Chipper Jones from his knees. The lockout to get the force on Will Clark getting over. Conine ripped it. Chipper Jones took a base hit away. We're through 6, 2-1 Atlanta. Half hour and beginning tonight, but through 6 we take a look at our sideware Dr. Bean game summary. Sidney Ponson allowed only 4 base hits, solo home runs. Chipper Jones, Andres Galarraga, that's how the Braves have the lead. And the Ashby first inning gave up 3 hits and a run, allowed 2 hits since. And Albert Bell has had a couple of base hits tonight. The Orioles only got 1 out of those 3 hits in the first inning because they had DeShields thrown out at third and Bell thrown out at the plate. And we just saw an outstanding play by Chipper Jones to cut off a run on the ball the Conine hit. And I think interesting, Mike Hargrove, Oriole manager, and early on. Brian Jordan with a drive to left, but Surhoff's going to have room. A couple steps on the track and then back off it to put it away. And got the uh-oh bird here. I tell you, you see those high sliders here at Camden Yards, you think they're going out of here. But Mike Hargrove saying, listen, this ball club, talking about Atlanta, doesn't beat themselves. 3 outstanding defensive plays tonight. Javi Lopez taking the out when they knew the run was going to score by throwing out DeShields at third. Sanders makes a bad throw on Brady Anderson, who runs better than Albert, but then he comes up, makes a great throw, and then Jones cuts off a rally, potential tying run with a great play dive into his left. Andres Galarraga in the air to shallow right. Long run for Albert Bell. Still coming and can't make the play. Now DeShields throw to second is not in time. Delano DeShields never went back out in the outfield grass. Bell, who was playing deep in right center field, could not catch up to that fly ball as he came hard toward the diamond. Yeah, Delano doesn't go get it. Albert's playing way out in right center field because Galarraga, you know, he can drive the ball. Ball was up there a long time, but Delano just take it. I mean, you can't assume your right fielder's going to catch it. Line drive, base hit, center field, Wally Joyner. Galarraga's going to get a stop sign from Ned Yost as Clark cuts off the throw from Brady Anderson at the mound to hold Galarraga on the Joyner base hit to center. And Sidney right here, we're talking about maturation, composure. A ball dropped for a double that should have been a can of corn, should have been an out. You can't, to a guy that's not playing a lot, throw balls right down the middle. Look where this is. Wally Joyner, it's not BP. Can't make those kind of pitches. Brady will charge it. Galarraga doesn't run very well. Good throw. They cut it off. First and third, 1 out. There's Javi Lopez. And Ponson needing the ground ball here to maybe get out of this inning. The Orioles could turn a double play behind him. Lopez doesn't run well. Big guy. 6'4", probably 220, 225. And obviously does not disdain the weight room. Ponson fooling Lopez there. Had him on the front foot on that slider. Outstanding breaking ball. 1-1 pitch, fly ball, right field, and deep. Bell back on the track. He's got it. But Galarraga can walk in on the long sacrifice fly, right center field off the bat of Javier Lopez. So the pop fly double that drops now goes to the Atlanta dugout in the form of Andres Galarraga with run number 3 of the night. They're too good a team to give an extra out. And I'll tell you, Lopez, what do you try to do with a runner at third and less than 2 outs? Get a pitch you can hit in the air. And that's exactly what he does. And he just reaches out, gets a ball up in the strike zone, and hits a routine fly ball. But it's a sacrifice fly for the third run. Well, Javi Lopez doing his job and get Atlanta that extra run now as we start the march through the late innings. Reggie Sanders at the plate for RBI number 45 from Javi Lopez. He's going to get a visit from Mike Bordick to Sidney Ponson. Ponson finding himself now down by 2. Reggie Sanders tonight 0 for 2. Ponson has gotten him to hit the ball on the ground a couple of times. Lopez, Galarraga. There's a former Oriole, Merv Rettenman.
Yeah, last night, Bonilla, former Oriole, Kamenicki with the save, done in by former Rose. I think Bordick might have come in and said, Sidney, calm down. Run shouldn't have scored. Galarraga should have been out. Orioles should be hitting. That's not the case. And right, Hal Myers is going to come out, because when Sidney loses it, he doesn't hear anything. And it's frustrating. Sammy Ellis knows this. I mean, this is what it's been about all year long. Tremendous promise, just still trying to channel and do the little things. Things that over the course of your career are going to come up.
Sidney came out strong tonight, shaking off his worst performance of this season. Inning in the 3rd disaster against the New York Yankees, in which he on a 7-run lead go by the wayside. A couple of solo home runs. Jim, you were talking about it. Solo home runs probably not going to get you beat throughout the course of most of your pitching outings. But now Ponson will walk Reggie Sanders, and that'll put a couple aboard again with 2 out here in the 7th. And one more time, Sammy Ellis, from the guidance of Mike Hargrove, will head on out to the mound. And while Sammy Ellis is doing that, I'm going to give you a quick look-see at the Injured Workers Insurance Fund. It's Maryland's heavy hitter in workers' compensation insurance. They serve 1 of 5 Maryland employers, and today they have more clout than ever. Nearly $1 billion in assets. IWIF is Maryland's first choice in workers' compensation insurance. Take a quick look at the board around the American League as we look at John Smoltz and, of course, Greg Maddux. Last night's winner is 11th of the year. 3 ball clubs ahead of the Orioles, 1 winning. The Yankees beating Florida 6-2 in the 8th. David Justice, Bernie Williams have gone deep for the Yankees. They lead it again 6-2. 2 ball clubs behind the Yankees. Toronto losing to Philadelphia 2-1 in the 8th at Sky Dome. And the New York Mets with a 3-2 lead over the Boston Red Sox in the bottom of the 6th at Fenway. All 3 of those clubs, Yankees, Toronto, Boston, lost last night. Tonight,
no, Boston came back and won.
That's right.
Boston with the double.
Right.
We have dramatic win off of Armando Benitez.
Yeah, we're losing 3-2 in the bottom of the 9th, and they won it. I stand corrected on that. So tonight, though, the Mets holding the lead again. And last night, the Yanks got beat as Orlando Hernandez did not have a particularly good performance. So you see, the one trump card the Yankees have, as well as building their rotation, they still have a 3-game lead in the loss column, and that's all important, as we're all well aware of. Ponson going up and out of the strike zone to fan Rafael Furcal through 6.5, 3-1 Atlanta. Has expanded the lead to 2 now, 3-1 Braves, as we head to the bottom of the 7th. Orioles will start it with Harold Baines against Andy Ashby as he'll rip a base hit to right. 3rd time that Harold Baines has been aboard. Line drive, single to right. A couple of knocks and a walk for Baines. 2 for 2, and been aboard 3 times tonight.
Yeah, I rode in with I usually almost always walk from the parking lot, but I had a chance to actually ride in with Harold today, and I said, come on, tell me what's going on. He said, tracking the ball. Talking about being older, 41. Are you done? Is Kamenicki the right-hander and Remlinger right off the DL, the left-hander? And he said, you know what? It's when you feel like you're in sync, you can't follow the ball to the plate. Your upper body's not doing what you want to do and opening it up and whatever. And he said it just took almost 2 months, 2.5 months to get it together.
Drive to center, tracking Andrew Jones to take care of Greg Myers. following the base hit by Baines here in the 7th.
Yeah, just can't get a pitch that he can hit anywhere but the center. And you have to give Ashby some credit. He's been able to make quality pitches away. Well, Myers trying to, you don't want to roll over on the ball, but your intent, and it makes it so difficult, is if you've got a left-hand hitter up there with a runner on first, he's going to try to hit the ball into that hole. And Myers couldn't do it the last time after Harold got on. He couldn't do it then. Brady couldn't do it. It's hard to get Harold Baines at age 41 all the way to third in this ballpark because Jordan throws pretty well and right. He's going to charge the ball, but well, you get a ball by the first baseman, you might be able to create that first and third situation. Fly ball, score a run.
The Orioles have had their leadoff man aboard 5 of the 7 innings here tonight against Andy Ashby. Only when he got Clark leading off to second. And got Anderson on strikes leading off to third, but every other inning they had the leadoff man aboard against this right-hander. Anderson looking for his first base hit. Brady's 0 for 2 as Ashby will miss away.
The Braves put pressure on you because they pitch so well. They're second in only to the Diamondbacks, Arizona Diamondbacks, in the National League in pitching. So you just know that, especially then, that's why it's so important to get Ashby, that most of the time you're going to have to pitch well to beat him.
Fly ball left center field. To the gap is Andrew Jones, and he will put it away. Andrew Jones, who just glides from gap to gap. Already seen one brilliant catch that he's made.
Well, you can fly out to left, and you're going to put down F8 on your scorecard.
That's correct.
Because the center fielder's going to get it.
Well, those are Major League ERA leaders. The interesting thing here, though, as the ERA for the Atlanta Braves continues to go up. 4.30 this year, 3.63 last year, and that was the highest in 9 seasons. They're usually in that 3.30, 3.40 area for the team ERA. And now a run more this year, but yet still coming in here tonight with a firm 4-game lead in the National League East.
Well, that's why it was so important to get Andy Ashby, because you plugged in Burkett. A lot of people thought his career may be over because he struggled with the Rangers. And Terry Mulholland, now we can think about him being a 5th starter, maybe going to the bullpen. So all of a sudden that extra starter, Smoltz being out all year with a ligament problem, really hurt him. And it hurt him because when you have Glavine and you have Maddox and you have Smoltz, then you can take a guy like Millwood, who last year had a career year, 18-7. He doesn't have to feel like there's so much pressure on him. Now all of a sudden Smoltz goes out of the lineup. He won't be ready till next spring. And all of a sudden Millwood has to move up a step.
Ashby just balked. This is probably about the 6th, 7th time tonight that, and you can understand it, that Javi Lopez going out and trying to go over things in terms of their sequence of signs with Andy Ashby. Watch Ashby here. And for the movement there, started, hitched it. Just a little bit of a hitch.
Well, you can hitch as long as you don't stop.
But he stopped. He hitched, it stopped, and then try to continue.
And of course, with the Orioles, you need to make this hurt.
Get out of play, and it's now 1-2 on Mike Bordick.
He's pitched Mike very tough. Big swerve to strike him out the first time, and then a fly to center and a ground ball to shortstop. That first strike, this at bat, best pitch he's had to hit, and he fouled it back.
The Orioles going through. Usually it's not prolonged for them, but somewhat of a power outage in terms of long ball production. The outside corner. That's a pretty pitch. Got to tip your cap to Andy Ashby as he went at the knees on the outside edge. 7 innings in the book. 3-1 Atlanta.
Jim Paul.
Okay, Tom, thank you. Full house tonight at the Yard. No surprise there. Atlanta Braves in town, of course. Oriole fans coming out following the All-Star break. Birds second in attendance on average per night, averaging better than 41,000 per, second only to the Cleveland Indians in the AL. As we look at Alan Mills. Mills appearing in his 14th game as an Oriole. Allen with a win, his only decision, and that ERA up near 6.
Yeah, hasn't pitched as well as he'd like, but in his last game, a couple of scoreless innings up in Philadelphia, got the win, and that's what he has to do tonight. Shut the Braves down and hope that the cavalry charge with a little offense will come up now. Of course, the Braves, see how far Ashby goes in this ball game, but their bullpen 30 out of 37 as far as saves and save opportunities. Pretty good bullpen, even though they don't have a go-to guy. We saw Rocker last night. He walked through the only batter he faced, and then Kamenicki came in and get the save. Lickenberg pitched the 8th inning. So Allen needs to somehow get through the 1, 2, 3 hitters here and hope that the Orioles can put some offense on the board.
It'll be Keith Lockhart to lead it off. Lockhart, who came out in the 4th inning to replace Kilvio Veras at second base, who injured a knee. Andrew Jones and Chipper Jones to follow. Lockhart tonight at 0 for 1 in his only plate appearance. Ground ball left side. Bordick's going to have to charge, circle the baseball, and throw out Lockhart. So smooth is Mike Bordick going to his right.
Great on the run.
Just one point about this Atlanta Braves ball club, Jim, and pitching and what have you. The way they have to section things off, they have not had the dominant closer. If they had, well, not even a Rivera, let's say if they had a John Wetland, a Troy Percival on this ball club, you think it would have resulted just that one bottom line, maybe a couple more World's Championships than just the one they won in '95 over Cleveland?
I think it would have made it a lot easier. I think if you look at this Braves ball club, and we're talking team, 103 wins last year, 106, 101, 106. I mean, 8 straight division champions. They're always, over the course of 162 games, because of their starter, better than the teams they're going to play. Over 162. You get in the postseason, you get a dominant starter, or dominant closer. Yeah, everything changes. I think they probably would have. Yeah.
The 2 World Series they lost to the Yankees. I mean, Rivera and Wetland. In '96 as Andrew Jones fouls it off, and then last year, I mean, they get swept 4 straight. Mariano Rivera came in and closed games in all 4 of them. And that's the one thing that the Braves do not have.
I mean, you go back to the I guess it was what World Series it was, probably '96. The Mark Waller slider to Jim Leyritz. Right. Going 98 miles per hour. Now that could have happened to, I guess, to any closer, because Waller's at the time was, pretty good closer.
Pretty good, but not of that dominant ilk I'm talking about. Ground ball to the right of Bordick. He'll pick it and throw out the fleet Andrew Jones by a step.
Tell you what, it seems like all the good shortstops, the ball always gets there at least a step ahead of the runner. Not a real difficult play, but Jones probably around 4-1 to the base. And Bordick's going to have to go to his right in the hole. Now I'd have to backhand it. He's going to get in front of it. Sets his feet. I mean, that's the key right there. The way he quickly sets his feet. Snap throw on the money. Does he have as strong an arm as Jeter or Garcia Pera or Rodriguez? No, but the quickness. I tell you, when I first saw him play, I said, I don't know if this guy can play shortstop. I stand corrected. You wanted to hit it to somebody, hit it to Bordick.
He's become a fixture of this Orioles ball club, and he stamps what he's all about then. Just about every game that he goes out and plays shortstop.
And that's why he's so well respected around the league, because he's maximizing his ability. I mean, I don't care what you do, what avocation you have, you want to be the best you can be. And how am I going to come to the park and get better today?
Chipper Jones fouling it off now. So Alan Mills has gotten the first 2 Braves hitters on ground balls at Bordick, quickly ahead of Jones, who tied things up with 1 swing against Sidney Ponson. Ponson can be the loser tonight, can't be the winner. He left after 7, trailing 3-1.
They deserved a better fate. One of those runs a little bit tainted, and no run support.
Off the end of the bat, looping base hit to right. Chipper Jones, he has a 2-out single. Keep this 8th inning alive for the Braves. Second base hit tonight for Jones.
And that's how you want Chipper hitting the ball. You want him reaching. You want to keep the ball out of his power. He already hit that home run on a curveball down and in. If you're going to give up base hits, and then one thing about Alan Mills, when he is pitching well, he's able to throw that 2-seamer away. The first 2 ground ball outs of this inning. And right there, Jones strong enough, big enough, able to, and quick enough to cut it off into right field off the end of the bat.
Ryan Jordan, fly ball Fairly deep center field, but Brady Anderson is there. He's got it, and we're going to the bottom of the 8th. Orioles trail Atlanta 3-1. Bottom of the 8th, rolling for us here at Oriole Park. Delano DeShields to face Andy Ashby. Ashby has scattered 6 base hits effectively. Gave up a run in the opening inning. Orioles ran themselves into a couple of outs, and Ashby probably should have given up maybe 2 or 3 in that first inning.
Yeah.
But didn't happen that way. And he's taken advantage of it as he's slammed the door effectively shut since.
Now he's thrown 3 pitches and they only have 2 on the board. So I don't know if the count's. Yeah, there we go. So we have it right. 2-1. I think the first pitch was called a strike. Center field board still has a 2-0.
This is lifted out of play on the third base side.
Well, Ashby back in April against the Marlins when he was with the Phillies pitched their only complete game, 4-3 victory. I think he's very durable. Last 3 years, over 200 innings, and there's the line. Let him escape in the first inning. Could have had the markings of a very, very big inning for the Orioles. A couple of base running, I don't know about mistakes, but maybe a little over aggressive.
3-2 on DeShields. Orioles looking to get Delano aboard. He's been on twice tonight. Infield base hit and a walk. 1 for 2 officially.
And Albert on deck with a couple of base hits. And he walks it. No.
The outside corner to set down DeShields looking. As home plate umpire Rich Reeker had a different idea than you probably.
Well, we said it's a very ample strike zone all night. And there's the glove. Watch the glove. And watch where the ball is. That ball's probably about 4 or 5 inches off the outside corner. And tell you what, Javi Lopez, watch him bring it back. The ball never should have been called a strike. Just not even close. And DeShields knew it. And he, I'll tell you, got to give him credit for not getting tossed. It was an emotional moment. You know how important you're trailing by 2. You're trying to get on base. Unfortunately, you have to go with the strike zone of the umpire, and it's been pretty big.
That'll get Albert Bell to the plate now. Strikeout number 6 on the night for Ashby. Bell base hit first inning, drove in his 70th run of the year, thrown out at the plate by Reggie Sanders to end the inning. Singled up the middle in the 4th and then flied out in the 6th. And on his fly ball to Reggie Sanders in left field in the 6th, Javi Lopez, the catcher, had called for a pitch out. And Ashby came right down Pratt Street with his fastball, and Bell got it out in the end of the bat. Ashby dealing 1-1 to Bell. Line to left, but it's going to stay up to allow Sanders to come toward the diamond and put it away. Bell hit it hard, but Reggie Sanders with a good break on the baseball. Okay, rodeo fans, Showplace Arena in Upper Marlboro, Maryland is hosting the Southern Maryland Rodeo. July 15th, 16th, that would be tomorrow and Sunday. Events include bull riding, calf roping, steer wrestling, and barrel racing. You ever get involved in any of that? I can see you trying to ride a bull.
Downtown Scottsdale.
Riding a bull?
Parada del Sol. No, we used to go to the rodeo.
Oh, you went? I mean, did you participate? Did you ever calf rope? What? Calf rope.
I don't think so.
Oh, okay. Well, I know you kind of hang out with some of the guys who Hollywood.
Me and Larry Mahan.
No, they're stuntmen.
Oh, yeah.
Stuntmen.
Well, let me tell you something. I got a friend who's done a lot of movies, and he said the one thing I don't do is horses. Because he said, I'd rather fall downstairs off a roof, but I don't want to do horses.
Fall down. Be careful what you say about falling downstairs. Our esteemed colleague is back there,
Tom Davis, with a torn
cooling his heels, as it were.
Literally
cooling his heels. Yes.
Yeah. He can't hear us, but he's back there 6 weeks in a wheelchair.
As we said, he's a gamer, though. Make sure you got Orioles report handled tonight. 2-1 to Surhoff. 3-1.
He's got and it's great. He's got great legs for radio. It's perfect.
All I know is that this cast weighs more than I could have ever imagined.
Well, I'll go somewhere, but I'm going to be nice.
Go ahead. No, I set you up perfectly. You know I always do.
Surhoff with a fly ball to right. It's Brian Jordan to make the grab. Ninth inning has started here at the yard. 3-1 Atlanta. Clemens picked up a win as the Yankees beat Florida the final at 6-2. Ryan Thompson, who just came up with that ball club, hit a 3-run home run tonight, along with home runs from Bernie Williams and David Justice. So the Yankees went long ball to win over Florida. And still,
the Ryan Thompson.
Ryan Thompson, yes, the former New York Met.
Yeah.
He was down in Columbus, and when Shane Spencer went out for the year, they decided to dip into their AAA affiliate and bring him up to the Bronx. Kerry Lightenberg warming here in the ninth inning. So Mills deals and Galarraga fouls it off. Andres has had a good night.
Yeah, he certainly has. It'd be interesting with the Braves because if you go back to the last inning, there was a 3-2 ball off the corner. Would have been ball 4. High slider to Bell. Line drive to left. And then a ball that he got up in the strike zone to Surhoff. So if you react to what you see, not the result, you might see the Braves go to the bullpen. But Ashby pitching extremely well after escaping from a first inning that could have, with this kind of pitching performance from Ponson and Mills so far, the Orioles could have actually put this game away, or at least made a gigantic step toward doing that back in the first.
And the 2-2 from Mills to Galarraga. That fastball stayed in on the Big Cat's hands.
A big man.
3-2 pitch, base hit left field. Found that seam between Conine and Bordick. 3 for 4 on the night now for Andres Galarraga.
Well, let's see if they pinch run that they did last night. A little bit different. Yep, I think they're going to do that. You know, last night they actually took the DH as
Trinidad Hubbard.
Trinidad Hubbard's going to come in, but last night Furcal came in, stole on the first pitch, and went to third on the air, and then Joyner actually came from the DH spot. He went to play first base with that 6-3 lead. So there he is, Galarraga. Terrific to see somebody back. Certainly somebody we can all relate to. Battling cancer and having that what do they call it? Non-Hodgkin's lymphoma.
There's Walter Joyner, first pitch swinging in the air, left center field. B.J. Surhoff is there to make the grab. Well, Hubbard put on the brakes. He was about halfway after he tagged between first and second. Drew a throw from Surhoff. Joyner is out number 1 here in the ninth. The Orioles in danger, though, falling again a dozen games below the 500 mark if they cannot rally in the bottom of the ninth.
One thing about the Braves, you go down their dugout and you're sitting around. Bobby Cox comes out and he says, if you looked at the newspaper, you would have thought that Messina really pitched a poor game last night. But he said, we know how tough it is to beat them. They're a very respectful ball club. I'm not going to say the same thing about Sidney Ponson. But when you got out pitching, they're very tough to beat on a regular basis. I mean, the Orioles, it's just an awfully good ball club. I mean, there's Bonilla last year. I mean, if you looked at him last year, you figured his career's over. They'd pick him up. Last night, game-winning hit. He's not playing all the time. He's happy to be on a winner. I mean, that's what it's all about. They're all playing on a winner. They come to the ballpark thinking they're going to win. And they've done it in this era. I don't care, large market, whatever, with a great organization. How many teams can win 8 straight divisions?
It's unprecedented.
Yeah, exactly.
No one has, except this club here. But Jim, another thing too, check the ego at the door when you walk in. Subjugate that ego, and how many clubs can do that as well?
Right, and think of the great continuity. Same manager, same pitching coach, and mirror that with the Orioles. I mean, it just there's just continuity there. Good young players coming up. Whether you're looking at Lopez behind the plate or you're looking at the center fielder. Furcal, they go get him. They plug him in. He can be mentored by Walt Weiss, who subjugated his ego, as you mentioned. they're winning. They're winners. They know how to do it.
Off the end of the bat into short center. Long run, Brady Anderson. He's not going to get there. Going to have to play it on that short hop. Base hit for Javi Lopez. His second base hit of the night. He's also driven in a run on a sacrifice fly. And the Braves are acting up here in the top of the ninth.
Yeah, pretty good slider from Alan Mills. You want a guy to reach. You want him to hit it off the end of the bat. You just don't want to have him flare it in. And that's what happened.
Reggie Sanders at the plate. Greg Myers and Alan Mills will have a talk about this situation as Mike Trombley, a right-hander, Buddy Groom closest to you, warm up in Mike Hargrove's bullpen.
Well, this is the guy you have to get out. Obviously, you trail 3-1. You know, Sanders has struggled after having, I mean, he had a year last year where he had 285 with 26 home runs, drove in over 80 runs, stole 36 bases, was their best hitter in spring training, and when the season started, struggled, and it's continued.
See what Reggie Sanders had in mind there, huh? He was looking for one big rip that he could crash one out of here.
And Merv Retman was with him as his hitting instructor in San Diego, and Merv leaving the Padres and coming to the Braves when Don Baylor became manager of the Cubs, and he said it's just a different guy this year. Go from having a great start to a poor start, and all of a sudden, we talked about it, whether it's over 35 at bats or 100 at bats or whatever, it just becomes mental. When we look at the side angle, he said it just looks like he's having trouble starting the bat. You know, in other words, you want to always, the bat has to be triggered. Hands are going to start there. Do they get into a good hitting position?
Big jump. Myers throw not going to be in time. Trinidad Hubbard. Well, he timed that out nicely as he started on first motion off that set from Alan Mills.
You snooze, you lose. You can get a bigger lead at second base. Now, the problem for a base runner is you're already in scoring position, so a lot of times you're tentative. You can see Myers having to throw over Reggie Sanders, so a very tough throw. Great angle right here. Your cellular one, you make the call. See, Sanders doesn't have to duck. He goes down, and Hubbard with a great jump. And now he's at third base. He can score on a fly ball. The Orioles are going to stay in double place position with one out.
Mills challenging Sanders. That pitch up and out of the strike zone.
Yeah, he chased the hanging slider. Usually a good pitch to hit.
And Trinidad Hubbard, who came on to pinch run for Andres Galarraga at third base. Javi Lopez at first. And a 2-2 coming to Sanders. Line drive. Got by Mike Bordick, who tried to backhand. Hubbard to the plate. On the line drive single off the bat of Sanders. That's a real tough play for a shortstop, and Bordick tried to backhand with that sweeping motion, and it got off his glove and by him for the RBI base hit.
Well, a lot of times the score of the game, where the runners are, will dictate how you try to play a ball, and Mike's going to try to backhand this ball because he's got to turn two. Runners at first and third because of the stolen base. Short hop, toughest play in baseball. Unable to come up with it. A lot of topspin. Another slider stays up, and right there trying to backhand it, because if he does, it's going to be two. It gets by him. That ball was a seed, and there's your fourth run for the Braves.
For Cal with a line drive that Bordick will spear, and his throw to Clark is not in time. He tried to double up Reggie Sanders. A soft line drive. Looped off the bat of Furcal. And Sanders beat the throw back from Bordick to Clark. And Mike Hargrove is going to head out to the mound, and he wants to make a pitching change. And he's going to call for the left-hander Buddy Groom. So the Braves have added one on here in the ninth. They lead it 4-1. Our Bell Atlantic call to the pen.
With upcoming games, Orioles Television Network tomorrow afternoon at 4 for Tom Glavine and Scott Erickson as the Orioles Atlanta series concludes, and then the Florida Marlins come to Baltimore for games on Sunday and Monday. Orioles Television Network on Sunday afternoon at 1:30, and then Monday night back on HTS at 7:30. Jose Mercedes gets the start there. Pat Rapp on Sunday for the Orioles, and that's a look at the Chrysler Plymouth upcoming games. Michael.
Alan Mills not pleased as he left the mound. He rearranged some of the furniture in the dugout, so to speak.
Well, frustrated. You know, I made a couple of bad pitches, one to Sanders and one to Galarraga, and then the looper couldn't do his job. And it's up to Buddy Groom to try to keep it right here at 4-1. And if you're Mike Hargrove, Oriole manager, you say, you know, they don't really have anybody else because of the injury to Veras. Veras, switch hitter, hitting .354 right-handed. So Hargrove hoping he's got the right matchup.
Land foul by about 10 feet up that line and left as Lockhart goes to slashing away against the left-hander Buddy Groom.
And Groom 4 straight years with over 70 appearances, and it appears he's going to probably close in that again. He's only been scored on 3 out of his last 16 ball games. But those 3 blown saves, and you know, on the year, 10 opportunities, he's able to save 4. But again, that's only because of the Oriole bullpen struggling early. Timlin with a stomach problem, you know, the torn abdominal muscle.
Lockhart got a piece on that 1-2 slider from Buddy Groom. Braves now bump the lead to 3, and this is exactly what they did last night in the 9th inning. They took a 1-run lead, it turned it into a 3-run lead. Took a 2-run lead tonight into the 9th and have added on. Ground ball to the right side for Delano DeShields to throw out Lockhart. Let's go to the bottom of the 9th here at Oriole Park. Orioles have some work to do against Andy Ashby. 4-1 Atlanta. Remember by 3. Defensive move for the Atlanta Braves. Wally Joyner, the DH, same thing he did last night, taking over in the 9th inning to replace Andres Galarraga at first base. So Braves lose their DH. Ground ball by a diving Keith Lockhart. Will Clark's got a leadoff base hit. He'd open up inning number 9 against Andy Ashby.
Like I said, he did not make good pitches last inning. Did get out of the inning, talking about Ashby. So I don't know how far they're going to go with him. Nobody better than Will Clark to get on base. Came in with the game with a .425 on